Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my amazing tartan-filled co-host, Phil.
Tartan-filled. I like that. There we go. How are we doing?
Pretty good. Do you know what? I'm looking at all your tartans there, and I went to a school where I wore a uniform, and I wore the Claude Watson tartan. And it kind of looks like the one, it looks like to your left, it's like green.
The green one. Okay.
Yeah, but it instead of having those white lines, it was yellow and it had like a red line as well, but like pretty similar to that one. So it reminds me of my youth.
Ooh, well, you're welcome then.
Just bringing me back home, bringing me back. My youth, going to Claude Watson School for the Arts. Do you want to start with the episode, or do you want to take up our little quiz, our little survey from last week?
Oh, well, let's do the survey. Let's get that out of the way. We'll do the one, like the responses from last week, and then we can end the episode with the new one. Pretty much nobody has been to any of the locations from Leg 1 or 2. So we got pretty much no's, sadly, there. Which Amazing Race 33 team were you most surprised to see do well? We had a tie. Kim and Penn and Raquel and Kayla got the most votes for most surprised to see do well. Like one task that people thought was hardest, the Artist Den, which we agreed with, that puzzle one. Out of all of those tasks, that was the hardest one. Were you surprised with the elimination of Michael and Mo? Yes. A resounding yes. Are you upset with the elimination of Michael and Mo? A resounding no. No, nobody was that upset. No.
Wow.
Which, like, two tasks do you think was hardest? We actually had a tie. It was between the Bullseye Mate and Decorate. So some people, that detour, I mean, we said it wasn't too challenging, that whole leg, but I guess that detour, those were the two that looked the toughest. Which teams fighting or bickering do you think is the most in danger of affecting their performance? Karo and Ray. And Ray. Yeah, big time. Got the votes there. Were you happy that Lala and Lulu were not eliminated? Kind of mixed, but mostly yes. Like higher in the yes column there. And then at any time during the first two episodes, did you have any reflecting on how the world was before COVID? A lot of yes, I really enjoyed watching the before times. Lots of hugging, kissing strangers, that kind of thing. And then which remaining Amazing Race 33 team do you think will get the villain edit? I'm kind of surprised. Who got the most votes here? Raquel and Kayla got the most votes as villain. The other people that got a lot of votes were Akbar and Sherry and Caro and Ray.
Okay.
So, interesting.
A little bit different than how I thought or how we thought, but not too surprising. Like I can see the way that people were thinking a little bit. Thank you, Phil. So we got some people joining us here in the chat. We have Travel the World. Hello. Thank you for being here. Jelly Donut says, hi, y'all. Wow, this was an episode. And Sophie's also here. They hinted at former teams joining the rest of the season. I wonder who those teams could be. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem that, I mean, we'll get to it. It seems pretty clear. Jelly Donut forgot to do the quiz. That's okay. You'll have another chance to do this week's quiz for next week. So no worries whatsoever. Exactly. So Jelly Donut, yes, it was showed who returned. It's pretty clear. Funny enough. So Sophie says, though, that hi, Travel the World. I haven't watched the episode yet. I just wanted to stop and say hi. Oh,
that's why. There we go.
That makes a lot of sense because it's pretty clear to who is most likely going to be coming back. So you will see at the end of the episode. Jelly Donut says there's no real villains this season. I still think Ray's a bit of a villain, to be honest.
It's early. It's early. As people want to win, you never know. True colors start to come out.
Ooh, Jelly Donut legit got emotional when they restarted this season. I wasn't there, but I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it, but I'm not sure if I like the feeling of it personally. It's kind of like I wish they would just start the race completely over again or something. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, like, the momentum is gone. So, and all the teams are different. Maybe just start from scratch all over again. You know what I mean? Maybe to have a couple of teams come on board. I don't know. But
I'm already feeling like I hope that they invite the teams that can't come back for a legitimate reason. They let them come back for a future season just to try it.
Absolutely. I hope so. Yeah. Because I do want to see how some of them are going to race. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied with how things end up. I'm happy that we're getting a season. I know that they're doing the best that they can with the circumstances that we're in. So I'm not upset with whatever CBS felt necessary to do to continue with this particular season. I just don't know if it's going to satisfy everything in me like these first 2 episodes have.
Understandable.
Sure. Jilly Jones says, I can't imagine having the adventure of a lifetime snatched away from you and having to wait 19 months to return. I mean, I can't, for the fact that, like, I've not left my house for this long, and, like, I was working as a flight attendant beforehand and, working on sets, and, like, I was all over the place all of the time, and I've literally been at home for 2 years. So I have an idea what it's all about. You get used to it, but I would probably be really upset if I was on The Amazing Race. I would have cried for sure, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're in that moment of, like, the rush of being in the race, and then I can imagine being back at home and being like, because the world, at least in Canada, the world hasn't been getting better. So, there's got to be that constant worry that are we going to get to race? Like, I really wanted to do this. I wanted to be on this race. So I can imagine that was something that they were worried about through that whole time.
Mm-hmm. So Jonathan says there are reasons why 4 teams can't return. I mean, I get it. Things happen in people's lives. And they can't drop everything to race around the world. It's just unfortunate. Couple of World says they got a chance to go home and work on skills, though, get healthy, work out. True. It doesn't seem like anybody took that opportunity, but we'll see next week what happens.
Yeah, it would be really smart if they did do a self-analysis of their team and go, what did we really struggle with on those first couple of legs? Like, what seemed to be like that we weren't expecting? Like, what happened on the race that we weren't expecting, and how could we do better with that? But I'm sure that they were all thinking, like, also in there, how is this going to work in this COVID world? Like, remember, the players didn't know what was going on. We've seen, like, there's this jet now that's flying them around, but they're probably like, are we still going around the world? Like, how is this going to work? So,
well, I mean, I hope that every single team that comes back knows how to drive standard, because now it's absolutely not an excuse. Like, you had 2 years to learn how to drive stick, and you're going to be doing a lot of driving stick for the rest of the race. So hopefully they took the opportunity to at least learn that skill. So we're in Glasgow. We're going from England to Glasgow. So they're taking a 400-mile train ride across. Have you ever done that train trip?
I've never done the train that far in the UK. I've done south up to London. So ending in London, that would be the most north I've done by train. But I have been to Glasgow. I love Glasgow. Actually, I think Glasgow might be, a lot of people like Edinburgh, but I think Glasgow might be my Scotland city, might be my UK city. I really like Glasgow.
I've never been to Scotland personally, but my mom's like dad's side of the family, they are Scottish. So originally she was from, like, their last name was Farquharson. From the Farquharson clan, but then on my, I think, great-great-grandfather's passport, they didn't seem to understand what a QU was, so they made it a GU, and so that's how my mom became a Ferguson. And so that's my Scottish history that we got going on there.
Love it. Love it.
I have been in those sleeper cars though before. I did an overnight train from Paris to Rome. And I thought it was gonna be so romantic. I was gonna be in these sleeper cars and like some handsome man was gonna be reading a book and and it was just like no, just crammed like in this. It's so bad. It was nighttime, couldn't even see like beautiful countryside. Like it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be some romantic book that like it was more like a nightmare. Definitely got my hopes up there. So they had to find their car at I guess that's the train station. And Carol has never driven before. Travel the World is throwing a little bit of shade here, saying, or get your driver's license. That's a little bit extreme, I think, to not have but you don't have your driver's license, do you, or you do?
Oh God, yes, I do.
Oh, God.
I if I can drive, anyone can. No, really, no. That's really it's weird to go on the race if you don't have a driver's license. Like that's like, do you like to travel? I don't know.
Well, it's weird. Just, I mean, the thing is that I understand people not needing to drive because they live in a metropolis city, right? So I understand that, and like I haven't needed to drive in a long time, so I'd be very rusty. But I definitely got my license when I was 16. Like I learned how to drive, and there's a lot of activities that they could be doing that having the knowledge of driving would be useful. So if it's riding an ATV or four-wheelers or, even jet skis, stuff like that, where you have to just understand how to like apply throttle or apply gas, or, you know what I mean? Like just understanding that relationship it's valuable for many different things. Huge. On the race. And so it's very strange that she doesn't know how to drive at all.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage that everybody goes through, and it's like it missed her for some reason. She just, or maybe she just didn't have that interest in learning how to drive. But that's weird, a little strange.
Like, I definitely wanted to know how to drive. I remember my mom, like, she drove standard, and so she took me to a parking lot to teach me how to match with clutch. And so it would be like after hours, we'd go on this empty parking lot and she'd take me to a ramp, put on like a ramp that was going up to like a parking level. And she's like, all right, learn how to match. And so I'm out there like, like I'm 16 or 17, light up with 16, and figuring out a match. And like, now I get it now. I'm not scared of rolling back. Like, everybody stalls. It's very easy to stall, but definitely was a rite of passage for me. And I did my first driver's test ever on a standard car. So,
well, they went on the race knowing this. So this was Ray's. This must have been Ray's area of expertise with driving.
It's trouble. Maybe. It's definitely trouble. We're going to get to a little bit more to those two. Absolutely. So they're going to be driving now that they're in Glasgow to Oran Moor all the way across Glasgow. Do you know this where they had to go? Like, were you familiar with that?
I've seen that. So I had seen the statue that they showed at the beginning, but where they had to drive to. For the first task, no, that was not, I don't think, close to the downtown area. So most of the places actually that were on it, I had not heard of, so had not seen. So it was nice to see.
Cool. Jelly Donut says off topic, but I just can't contain this just so Amanda's exit story. So Jelly Donut, I will be going live after, I'll be watching the finale of All Stars. So if you want to spill that tea with me there, I would love to hear it. Perfect.
Maybe I'll show up again.
Yes. Did you enjoy watching it?
I had no clue what was going on, but I was just so excited that I recognized somebody right at the beginning. I was like, you know what? That's the girl from Endurance. I remember her.
So surprising though, out of all the people, like, who's watched Endurance in like 1992, like hilarious. Maybe later than that, but like I never watched Endurance. I knew she'd won it. I've seen a little bit of her a season, but like I never watched it. I didn't even really know it existed. So Kim and Penn are driving around. They didn't seem to have too much trouble with the standard car. Penn was expecting a lot of other teams to have a lot of trouble. I think the scariest part for me would be driving on the other side of the road because they're just so conditioned to, even looking the way that you look. You always look to the left because that's the way the cars are coming. You have to change the way that you look to not get hit by a car if you're just a walker, a pedestrian. So that would be, I would say, the scariest part is switching the brain to go on to the other side. It's so risky putting them on like a highway, not knowing how to drive standard on the other side of the road. It's risky. That's terrifying. I think it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we go over to the UK, it is remind yourself when you're walking right, left, right, not left, right, left when you're crossing the street, right? Like that's what everybody usually does is they go left, right, left, but you have to like say it to yourself a couple times. And so when you're driving, like I'm sure you have to also say to yourself, like, okay, hold on. Make sure I'm on the left side. I'm not on the right side driving. It's very confusing.
So confusing. And even using the gear shift on with the left hand would be a little bit awkward. So I feel for them. I definitely feel for them. Yeah. I would be quite nervous just with it being on the other side of the road. But I think eventually you'd get the hang of it, but like I'd be terrified at the beginning.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we haven't quite got there, but I'm going to say completely felt for Aaron driving on the highway there when there was cars that were like beside him and he's like not in the right lane. Like I completely would be the same. Like I can do it when there's not a car there, but this is new world for me. Like and just like I can't go. I just gotta wait till the car passes. I get it.
Yes, but like, come on, just get over there, Aaron. Or like, come on. You have to think quickly and you have to move quickly. And it didn't seem like he's reacted quickly enough. Like he probably probably a split second where he had an opening that he hesitated and then he missed an opportunity to go all the way over is probably what ended up happening. Oh, poor guy. But Kim and Penn had no trouble finding this roadblock. They're like, oh, I think that's it. And they just stumbled onto it. So that was pretty impressive that they had seemingly no directional problems this episode. And the roadblock it says, who thinks they have this one in the bag? So between you and I, who would have had this one in the bag?
Who thinks they have this one in the bag? I'd be feeling really good in the UK. So I think, and we know that I'm a lot weaker on these challenges, that if we can get a couple out of the way early, let's get Phil doing these. So I think I would have been okay.
Doing it.
And if I had heard the bagpipes, which I assume unless we were there first, but if we had heard the bagpipes, I would have been fine with that because I've dealt with instruments quite a bit. So
amazing. So Phil would be doing this roadblock, and in this one, Kim decides to do the roadblock where they have to assemble a bagpipe, and then they have to hold a note for the entire duration of a song of some sort. So Kim had no problem with this at all. She seemed to put it together on her first try. She plays her note and they're pretty much out of there. They didn't have any trouble whatsoever. Do you think you would have had trouble putting the bagpipe together? I've never seen a bagpipe up close, so I don't know, but
I don't think so. They had a picture, didn't they?
Yeah,
they had a picture. So
yeah,
I mean, I think like you make sure that it's like putting IKEA furniture together. Make sure you have every piece and then go for it. So yeah, I think I would have been okay in that situation.
Yeah, I think I would have been okay too, as well. I've played a few instruments. What instruments do you play, Phil? Do I know this?
So trumpet.
Me too.
Trumpet, tuba, violin. I had a little bit of piano, and I did a little bit of flute. I wasn't very good at flute, but it was mainly the brass instruments that I put a lot of focus on. So, yeah.
Pretty similar to me. I don't know. I probably told you the story before, but my first instrument ever was the accordion because my mom wanted me to practice on the accordion before I got a piano. So I learned how to play the accordion. I know how to play piano. And then in school, obviously I can still play a really mean recorder. I have 2 younger niece and nephew twins, and they have recorders. And so I still could play the recorder. So I was pretty impressed by that. And they were like, wow, like you can play. I was like, still pretty good. And trumpet was like my main instrument that I played, like, you know, to Kiwanis festivals, whatever. I can probably play any other or brass instrument because, like, I understand embouchure placement and, you know, I get how to play the trumpet. So I probably could play the tuba. I probably play the trombone, but I never actually, or then probably could play the French horn as well. But I've never actually practiced, but I think I'd be okay with it. So we would be musical. It would be good.
I was on a charity version of The Amazing Race in Canada with my husband Ron, and we got to the very first task, and it was a roadblock, and it was who's feeling patriotic. And instantly he said yes before we looked around, which we had talked about before. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Like, if it's good for me, you're going to do it if it's good for you. But he just made that decision. And it was playing Oh Canada on a recorder. And it took everybody so long to do. And I was like, why didn't you let me do this? I could have done it. And like, you didn't get the sheet music. You had to just play it, like learn to play it. And it took him quite some time and took a lot of people time. So we get the recorder, we get to keep it, and that night while we're, you know, resting, and I'm still stewing on why did I get to do the roadblock, I knocked it out of the park.
I would be able to pick it up pretty easily as well because, like, I think I still remember how to do a scale. So, yeah. And Oh Canada is not very challenging lyrically at all. So. Ron, though, did he lose it for you, or did you guys still win?
We had a good second day.
John wants to know who still plays instruments. I do. I'm still in the arts, babe. I'm house sitting, as you guys know, and there's a piano here, and so I'm thinking of just, you know, practicing.
Wheel it out. Come on. No. Wheel it in front of the camera. Let's get going.
Maybe next week I'll play the piano for you guys.
Ooh.
We'll see what happens. Hi, Joseph. So Joseph says this leg too, going back to last week's episode, felt like it was very thrown together at the last minute. I have heard that they were scrambling with like all the impeding closures and new restrictions of different countries, and that they were considering going, I believe it was to South America, and just like finishing the race in South America. They're just trying to figure out what they could do while coronavirus was growing. And so I think that this is why everything's being thrown together, is because it was.
Yeah, I've read a lot, and people were saying, so I don't know if someone in the chat wants to respond to this and let me know if this is what they've heard as well, but I heard like leg one was how it was supposed to be, but then the word of COVID was really getting impacted and they started to panic, and leg two was supposed to be Scotland, but they made it extra long in London just in case, and then they shipped them up to Scotland, and it did feel very thrown together again. But yeah, I think it was only supposed to be the first 2 legs were in the UK, and then they were going to go somewhere else in leg 3. But I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've seen. But yeah, I mean, it did feel very easy. 3 legs, very easy.
Very, very easy.
Fast. Like there was only like a roadblock and a detour. That's weird.
Yeah, it was pretty zippity zip. Absolutely. Travel the world, play the recorder. We should all go to recorders and play like dun 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 dun. It'd be really funny. If we had like a little band. Hi, Adrian. So Adrian played the recorder, but only in my 5th grade graduation, we played the national anthem. Very sweet. Nice. I was also in an ORF group, which is a percussion group that traveled across Canada. So I can also play all xylophone, glockenspiels, different timpani.
I thought you were going to say triangle.
I mean, it was in there, but like, that didn't matter. Like, I do the glockenspiel, though. It's a better triangle. Like, ding, 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 ding. That's like a little baby xylophone. It's so cute. So
it's a little metal one, right? It's a metal one.
Yeah, they're very, very cute. Okay, so we had to learn Annie's song by John Denver. You guys are funny. Okay, so we're gonna get to that soon. So yeah, Kim pretty much banged this out really quickly. Anthony and Dusty are also going to be doing this Roadblock. And Natalia directing her dad just wasn't it. You could tell that she loves her father and she's very kind and considerate, but it doesn't seem like she knows how to be assertive with him in a way he responds well to. They actually don't work that well together, I find, unfortunately, even though they're both well-intentioned, kind, lovely people. They're not a good duo for the race, I don't think.
Yeah, and I like them a lot. I would say that it's shown on at least 2 tasks. Her patience level is a little bit off where she wants to quit tasks. Like she wanted to quit that bullseye task last week, and then she wanted to quit the barrel task, which they did, and moved over to the other tasks. Like we don't know how much time passed between how long they were there for, but it did seem to be a sort of a theme that her patience level is not the same. It's not at the same level. So.
Well, and she doesn't contribute enough to be super good. Like, I don't know. We'll get to that, the Natalia of it all with that barrel task, because I was upset with her for choosing to go to the other detour. So they have to go down to Alexander Park to find their next clue. So they're on their way. They don't seem to have any trouble, or they didn't show any trouble that they had with any directions whatsoever. But we do see Akbar and Sheridan having some trouble with the clutch, with the driving portion of it. It didn't seem like for most of this leg that they were around any other teams. And it seemed to me, tell me if you feel the same way, that they were kind of down. Like they didn't seem as excited or motivated or encouraged. Like they just seemed a little bit like, we suck. Like we're not doing well. We're probably going home. Like they seemed a little bit down in the dumps. Did you notice this?
Yeah, I think that they want to get higher up on the board, right? I think that their energy levels are probably based on how they feel that they're doing. And it feels kind of like they need a lucky break to get ahead a bit, because it's hurting them. It's hurting them. So
Caro is crying in the back of her car while Ray is driving. We already mentioned that Caro doesn't have her license. And okay, Caro's crying. She's scared. Like, it's scary being in a standard car that's like jerking back and forth with like cars honking you on a high. Like that is a terrifying experience, especially if you are not a driver. So you're just kind of like at the mercy of somebody that you're not feeling confident in. And so I understood why she was feeling scared and also being lost. How did you feel about how Ray handled this situation by basically stopping getting out of the car to throw a bit of tantrum?
Well, Ray, he's got some, I don't know. I don't think he's very good at patience himself. We were saying Natalia's not. Ray really has no patience. I think he gets embarrassed easily when he's not able to do something. We saw that in the mail task a little bit. When she called him out and said, well, why didn't you just get the envelope and figure that out? this time, he's taken the lead, I guess, on the driving. I hope they had a conversation on this beforehand.
Well, it seems like they did. She's like,
they
you
did,
knew
yeah.
going on to this race that I don't have my license. So he's aware that he's going to be doing all this driving. And he's aware that he took it on himself to learn how to drive standard. So he knows that he's going to be doing this.
I can imagine it's very frustrating for both of them in the situation. I mean, they were downtown Glasgow, at least at the beginning with the cars. And there was shots and there was construction, things are going on that road. And if you can't drive stick properly and people are honking at you and nonstop, people are relentless behind you if they can't get by and they want to. So, you're freaking out and this is all being recorded. You're feeling embarrassed because you can't do it. And your partner can't drive. She can't help you. It's sort of like my situation here. How do I get out of this situation? Maybe he needed to get out of the car because he just was drowning in the car. But how he handled her was completely, I was Team Caro all the way. I thought, what are you getting mad at her for? It's you who needs to breathe. You're getting mad at her for it. Don't put it on her. You've got to take it.
Absolutely. And we have Sarah here. Hi, Sarah from Nerdtainment. Sarah says, I need to get back into playing piano. It's been decades. Honestly, me as well. I haven't played properly in definitely decades, but I used to be a good piano player. So I'm sure that some of the songs I'll still remember completely. Like if I can remember a recorder song from when I was 12, I can remember how to play some songs I played into my teens for sure on the piano. So I have faith in you, Sarah. So we should start old people playing instruments again. People over 40 playing the piano.
Might just be recorders and triangles by that point.
I can play enough to be able to make a tune. Jeez Louise. So Caro does apologize for crying, and he says that he's always on a positive vibe, and he's a positive person. He's a positive vibe type guy. It's actually, do you know what, Ray? You're not. You're not a positive vibe type guy. If you're a positive vibe type guy, you'd be encouraging Caro and being like, hey, don't worry, we got this. I know that it's scary right now, but we're still in this race. We're still, you know what I mean? He would be motivating and encouraging her and making her feel safe. And he didn't do that at all. Instead, he got mad at her for being nervous and scared. So he's probably learned a lesson about himself that he actually isn't a positive vibe type guy. Not at all.
They are learning about each other, though. This is more than they're probably ever got on Love Island, because Love Island probably was happy days. They're getting to know each other's real personalities and how they really deal with situations that are out of their control. And woo.
So Sarah says, also there was a task that was cut out between getting their cars in Scotland and the first detour that we saw. Okay, that makes a little bit sense, because Phil was kind of thinking that there wasn't that much going on this particular episode. It was just pretty basic. So if there was another task, that's helpful.
It mustn't have done anything. It mustn't have created any drama or changed the standings. Order. Yeah.
I was impressed, though, that Lulu and Lala ended up being in 4th place. They definitely worked a lot better together this episode, this leg. Yeah. Jelly donut, jelly. Stop hating on Queen Natalia. We're not hating on her. We're just recognizing that her communication with her father doesn't seem to be the best. And it seems as though instead of pushing through when something seems a little bit challenging, she's willing to throw it in the towel and jump to the next task without maybe assessing that, hey, what could I do to finish this task first? And I was going to mention it later, but I might as well mention it now. With them being so bad at directions, I would definitely not be taking the risk of having to go and find another location with directions in Scotland with a standard vehicle. If I've finally found a place, and I would be working on that task to get that task, so I would avoid having to travel to another task. What do you think about that? I wouldn't want to move.
Oh, I mean, I thought that I like her at the scene with her and her dad towards the end when he got emotional, and I thought that she handled that very well, because he felt like he was disappointing his daughter, and she made sure that she got him back into. We got to still be in the race. We still got a chance, and she did seem like she was quite patient with him in the one detour. When they got to that second detour, like, he was struggling, and she did seem like she was actually okay there. I do agree. I don't understand 100% why they left that detour. I noticed that they seemed, I know we're talking about it, but I noticed, like, why didn't they turn the barrel over? Like, they kept like hammering it up, which is so awkward. It's like, and there was teams around them that put the barrel on its side, and I was like, that probably would have helped a little bit, because it didn't show them. I don't think it showed them in any scenes where the barrel was on its side for that team.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. We'll be going even deeper into that challenge in like 2 seconds. So Kim and Penn do get to the detour first. So kilt or rebuild, which one would you have chosen, considering you have all the kilts behind you?
I probably, just to be goofy, I would have picked kilt.
You picked kilt? I thought you'd be rolling your eyes at Kim and Penn picking kilt.
We're almost there. Trust me, I've got my notes on them. But I used to sing, and I used to, it's my heritage. I would love to go out there and sing and do the march and all of that.
It was pretty easy, I would say, what they had to do. They kind of had to sing 2 phrases of a song. It was pretty basic, and march and do a couple of like. It was very easy, I thought. So I would probably encourage us to do that one. But I do have experience barrel making, which is strange. But I pretty recently, like probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I used to work for Jack Daniels. And so nice. They had, like, I was doing promo work, and so we were doing experiential marketing, and we'd have like this whole big setup for people to come and experience. And so one of the like the areas was a barrel making station. And so I did learn how to put in all like the slats inside of it, put the thing, I learned how to do that. So I don't know if it'd be that easy to be able to get off those metal wires, but I know it's possible to do it. So I would still have done the dancing one, but
I found, like, I mean, and it did say it in the clue, so I would have been tempted to go do the barrel one as well, because it didn't sound as hard. Like when we watched Amazing Race Australia last season, they had to build 2 barrels, like do the whole rings and put the things in, and like that was a challenge. Like that was tough for them to do, because like it's hard to make it completely fit all the way around. They didn't actually have to do anything to the barrel. It was the lid and the things that go on top of it. So it might have been it did seem like that was the smarter thing to do. But being honest and reading the clues, I probably would have said, this one sounds easier, so we should go do the music one. So again, it might have been a mistake, but probably, I'm being honest. No, yeah, I wouldn't have been. We would have had fun.
Yeah. They're very lenient with the kilts. Like they weren't very particular. And we both have a decent amount of musicality in our bodies. So I think I would have forced us to do that one, I think.
Right.
And you would want to. Okay, Sarah says, if Kara was behaving that way while I was driving, I would have pulled over and let her out. No, you wouldn't. No, Sarah. Sarah, you would not have done that. I mean, it would have been annoying, maybe. But like, I also don't think that you would have been giving off that same energy that Ray was giving off. That was like not comforting at all. I don't think that you would have kicked her out of your car on the highway at all. I don't think so. I don't believe you. Okay, so the Master Cooper is going to have to approve the rebuild it. But it did. Both the tasks seemed decently easy. One was just obviously a little bit more physical, and the other one was musical and had to remember like a little bit of a dance. But I thought they were both decently easy. Now at the bagpipe, we do see Natalia helping out Sam and I'm not sure which one of the twins that was working on that task. What did you think about her helping them with the bagpipe?
It's leg 3. It's okay. There's going to be, if you know that there's lots of teams behind you, and at this point, I think that they knew that there was probably like 3 teams at least behind them. Don't worry about it.
But then while they're stopping to get directions, they see those 2 teams like zippity zip done, getting in their car, like taking off, while now they're behind both of those teams. So would you have been annoyed?
So the mistake was they didn't know where they were going. Why not wait for those teams to finish and work together, build an alliance with them, and go together the same way? At least if you get lost, you're with them.
Absolutely. Well, just be like, yeah, exactly. Just be like, hey, like, I'll help you here. Will you guys help us with the directions?
Yeah.
Or like, if you find directions on where to go, or if you have a map or whatnot, like, can we work together? I'll help you here. You help me there. Absolutely. You are right, Phil. They should have gotten something immediately back in return, especially since they were having a lot of challenges with directions so far this leg. I felt bad for them though, because they were being really kind, and then those 2 just like took off and left. They didn't even know that they were there. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that they would have helped them if they had asked, but they didn't ask them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Raquel and Kayla did the rebuilt. What about, were you surprised? I thought that they would be doing the kilt.
I think first thought you would think that they're doing the kilt, but this team, they're coming in wanting to prove themselves as tough girls, and I'm liking watching them. They are very smart, funny, and I'm glad they're on my team, right? They are on my team. I think they're on my team. I'm glad they're on my team for the job.
Yeah, they're on your team. You have both of those teams.
Yeah.
Raquel
good job. Go prove yourselves, and they did. They proved how well they were.
Definitely. They're still making me feel like, wow, like they're a team to contend with. They're great. Like they're enjoyable. They're likable. I'd probably be friends with them if I was running the race with them. Right now, if they were to win, I would be happy with them winning. So overall, they've definitely surprised me the most out of everybody that's on this race so far.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, so Sarah says, I love the way Natalia handles her dad. They're supportive of each other. Absolutely, they are. She is very supportive of him. I just wasn't sure if she was giving directions as well as she could. And I don't like that she wants to give up all the time. It's not my favorite. Poor Jelly Donut would choose rebuild because they can't dance. Rebuild seemed easier.
It did. After watching them play out, more people, I think, finish rebuilt a lot faster than they.
So Jelly Donut says, I really like Kim and Penn, but I can't root for family bloggers.
So why did we have to watch? So they get to the kilt task, and then they have to do another montage. Why do we have to see the Christmas scene of him rubbing his butt basically in his daughter's face, which I don't get? Why is that family blogging? I don't want to watch it. It's weird. It's creepy. No. And then, like, I'm sorry. I'm going on a rant here. He was so rude at that challenge. When they were at the back and the woman was trying to teach them what to do, he just completely bulldozed over that woman. Like that was trying to teach him the song. And then when he went out and he was told he was wrong, he was rude.
He
nasty.
Was definitely rude. He does
rude.
That he had a little bit of a diva moment. Absolutely, a little bit of a tantrum. It was pretty rude. I'm pretty surprised by how he reacted in that moment. It seems like they only had to do it twice. And it didn't
he looked seem like a fool. He looked like a fool the way he was dancing in that thing. And those kids looked scared. They didn't need no butt in the face.
Well, they were talking about it after, and like he was saying that he was acting like Martha Graham. And I'm like, Martha Graham is a modern ballet or modern dancer. And like I remember I had learning like Martha Graham's style of dance. And so like it had absolutely nothing to do with singing a jig or whatever in Scotland. I don't even think she's Scottish. I think she's American.
Well,
I remember.
I think the only thing I know about her is when she's referenced in the birdcage.
Well, next time I see you, I'll teach you some Martha Graham exercises. You will like really be able to get in.
A reality realness exclusive.
So I was really happy though that Caro got the bagpipe right away, because it seems as though Ray doesn't seem to handle the stress of doing tasks and having someone relying on his ability to complete something in a timely fashion well. It doesn't seem like he's good at that. And so I was happy that Caro did it. It seemed like she got it on her first try. I was like, he couldn't get mad at her for being bad at something. So I was so thrilled that she did really well.
Yeah, she did very well.
So thrilled.
Good for her.
Taylor, I think it was Taylor that was doing the bagpipe as well. He forgot to put the bag on it, so that seemed to cause a little bit of a time. But guys, like you have the map there, you have the picture. Just follow the instructions. I was very surprised that he thought that he would be right without having the bag on it. Like you see all the pieces that you need to use them. I don't know. So Natalia and Arun go in the wrong direction. I'm like, this is going to be, they're going to regret now the fact that they helped two other teams pass them because they're not having a good time with their directions, unfortunately. We do see Caro and Ray over at Rebuilt. This is right at the same moment was when your guy Penn has his temper tantrum. We'll skip over that, but they're now heading over to the University of Glasgow. Where is the next pit stop? It's at the fourth oldest university in the world. I didn't know that. That's pretty old.
Yeah.
Pretty old.
History.
And yeah, Kim and Ben didn't seem to have any trouble, and they arrive first at the mat, and they do get a kiss. So I'll get some kiss points.
They had a very strong leg. I'm going to say nice things about them right now because I cut, but as much as they irritate me, they did a very well. They seem to do really well with the driving as well, which is very key in this. Those in-between task things can really pay off. They stayed well ahead, it seemed like, than any of the other teams, and they didn't have other teams to help them in positioning, like it was just them. So I will say that they did very well in that sense. But I was surprised. I thought the two guy teams, the alliance that seemed to be forming there between those two was going to dominate the first couple legs. But I mean, they did well, but it was nice to see another team get up there. So,
well, it may have been that the kilt task was quicker in the end.
Yeah.
Because or they did it more quickly, and they didn't have any problems with the bagpipes. So they just played.
No, they seem to be from the train station. I know there was another task, but they seem to be like way ahead of everybody. They seem to had a really good leg. So.
Definitely, and I think when I was watching Kim and Penn's, I watched one of their YouTube channel videos. Did you watch the videos that I sent you?
No. Well, I sort of no. I opened them, saw what they were, and I was like, I don't care.
Well, the one thing that I was showing you was that Kim and Penn are actually super fans of The Amazing Race. And so they watched every single episode and they took notes, and they have a binder of all the different tasks and why people failed these certain tasks or didn't do well.
Smart.
And so they actually, I thought that you would have been impressed by the fact that they really did.
That's impressive.
Pardon?
That is impressive.
And so they were very aware, and what their strategy was going to be, if there's any task where they needed to be judged, they weren't going to take that particular task. They were instead going to do ones where they had to use their own skills and talent to be able to get something done and complete, as opposed to have somebody judging them. And they found that the first 2 legs of the race that they completely didn't do that, and they didn't do as well as they think that they would have if they had stuck to what their intentions were in the beginning. So I thought that it wasn't that it showed them to be racers.
They did good on the first 2 legs. Didn't they? They did pretty good on the first 2 legs.
Fourth or fifth?
Yeah.
But but with the task they did the artist den. They wouldn't have chosen the artist den if they went with their regular tokens. They might have stayed in the same spot, but it would have been an easier task for them to have completed. And they also said, I thought that you would have appreciated, was that we know that we're really annoying and we are that family and that we're not everybody's cup of tea. And so they do acknowledge that they're irritating. So these are the clips that I sent you just to show that they get that people like you really can't stand them.
And that's, that helps make them popular, right? That there's people that love them for being annoying. There's people that don't, but they get upset, and then people go, "Oh, I can't believe somebody's upset with them. I got to go watch this." So
I just wanted to watch. I wanted to watch it just to see their perspective of the race.
Yeah.
And just
they have tons of fans.
Side tidbits.
They have tons of fans. A lot. The majority of race viewers, I think, are loving them.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
They're just not my world.
Sarah loves them, I believe. So at this point, this is where Natalia convinces her dad to switch, and he didn't want to switch. He says, "I'm not good at singing and dancing." And yes, she was encouraging, yes, you can do this. But where was the encouragement? Yes, we can do the barrel. Let's figure out how to do the barrel, because people have been able to do the barrel. So why don't we do the barrel while we're here? It's possible. I thought it was a poor choice. I never really condone switching detours. It's usually game ending.
Was this the second detour? And both detours, should we switch? And that can get into a really bad habit of getting into if you think about that right away. That's something you really, once you make a decision, you should try and stick with it and try and make it work, because then you're playing this game of when do I leave? And if you're thinking about it too much, you're not paying attention to what you're working on. What you're just trying to get out. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough.
So we know that Kim and Penn get to the pit stop first. Second is Ryan and Dusty, and third is Anthony and Spencer. So those 4 guys, these young buff guys, are second and third place. So no surprise there. They didn't seem to have much trouble throughout this particular leg. So Taylor and Isaiah do kilt. So they show up while Natalia and Arun are practicing. And so she's like, "Oh my God, another team has arrived."
Right.
Connie and Sam, they did rebuild. So they did the barrels. They came in 4th. Carol and Ray, who also did the barrels, came in 5th. And then 6th was Raquel and Kayla, and they were so happy with the placement. They're very positive people. I'm so enjoying them. I'm surprised. They're not usually my type of racers, but they are definitely surprising me.
I've noticed that Connie and Sam, they seem to be the team that starts a little slow, and then to the end, they seem to push past teams towards the end. So that's good. I like that team, and I know we'll be talking about it later, but I do really like that team. So I hope that they come back.
Okay, so Adrian has an interesting take here, though, about your guy. So Adrian says, "I don't think that he was rude. He was just excited to do the task." So this is Penn we're talking about. Also, Adrian thinks that his ADHD came in during that task, in my opinion. And Sarah's agreeing here, didn't think that he was rude either, and was entertained by Diva Penn.
He's a character. People are going to love him. I just felt like what his reaction when he was told he was wrong, he went a little bit loud and, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Is it?" And then he was blaming them on how he learned it. But when he was back in the room and she was trying to teach it to him, he was singing over her. And I was like, okay, you're not really there to learn. You already think you know it. So, but opinions.
Adrian says, so me and Sarah are the Kim and Penn supporters, while me and you are not. Let's see who wins. Well, I'm more of a supporter than Phil is, absolutely, and I have them on my team, and they're my number one pick at this point to win the game. Now that we're seeing how things might shake out, I feel like they are going to be the most equipped to win. So they're my winner pick. They don't annoy me nearly as much as they annoy Phil at all. So I would say I'm more in the middle or closer to liking them than disliking them. So just clarifying there. Oh, and yes, you're right to travel the world. They did get a trip to Cape Cod. I can't even say this word though. Massachusetts. Because, okay, if I'm in Canada, I don't know if it's a Canadian thing or if it's around the world, but it was always a joke to say mass of two beep when you say that. And so I actually don't really know how to say it properly. So I always say Massachusetts. So Massachusetts. MA.
There you go.
It's hard though. Have you been to Cape Cod?
I have, but I don't remember it very well. I was very, very, very little. But I do remember going and not being afraid to go into the water because they had this giant, like this is early 80s. They had some giant shark thing because the movie Jaws had filmed parts of it, I believe, there. So my sister kept telling me that the shark was in the water, so I wouldn't go in the water when I was little. I probably was like 5 or 6, so obviously I'd be scared about that. But
I don't know why it's named this, but you know what drink the Cape Cod is?
Ooh.
Or a Cape Cod.
No, never heard of it.
It's a vodka cranberry.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, if you want a Cape Cod, it's also known as a vodka cranberry.
I drink those a lot.
En français.
I do drink those. So now I'm drinking Cape Cods. It sounds fancier.
Cape Cods.
I like it.
So we see Akbar and Sherry again. Like, who are they? They really must have thought that they were completely out of the race. They've been lost pretty much all day long. They ended up doing kilts. Akbar felt as though they're in Scotland. Let's learn a Scottish dance, something seemingly traditional. So they show up, and we know now it's going to be Akbar and Sherry versus Arun and Natalia, because Lulu and La, they hit the mat 7th place. Taylor and Isaiah hit the mat in 8th place. Oh, and I have to say, okay, go.
I think we're going to say the same thing. Did you not notice how scared the kids were of Taylor and Isaiah's dancing? They were like, what are they doing? They're doing it wrong. Or they're going everywhere. They were like, the kids.
The poor kids are just like... but I definitely thought that Taylor and Isaiah, they put in a lot of oomph into it, a little bit of swag, it was a little bit cooler, we'll say, their version of this singing and dancing. But the kids were definitely just like trying to hide, for sure. Yeah. Hilarious. So I definitely was going to expect Akbar and Sherry to do a decent job, and they did. It didn't seem like they had much trouble doing the dance and shaking their kilts and looking yonder or whatever.
Shaking their kilts. Akbar was almost over his head at one point. He was like, woo! We saw, hello, Akbar. Okay.
His spandex underneath. I was like, oh. Little bit much going on there. So they get it seemingly right away. I don't know if they did it multiple times. It seemed like only one time, but they leave. Akbar and Natalia and Arun, they do it once right after them, and then they don't do it right. I was like, oh man. So they're officially in last place. Akbar and Sherry, they leave. They're still having trouble with directions, so they cannot find the University of, is it Glasgow or Scotland? You can't find the university.
University of Glasgow.
And finally, Arun and Natalia get it. Probably being just a little bit generous because they weren't in sync. And if I was judging it, I'd probably be like, you might want to just tune that up a little bit.
The kids want to go to bed.
Yeah, the kids want to go to bed, and they are officially the last person. They're probably just like, let them go. So they let them go. They still have trouble finding this poor university. So Akbar and Sherry get in before them to the pit stop. They're in 9th place, and eliminated teams are going to be Natalia and Arun. I was upset because the chat made me pick them instead of Caro and Ray. Yeah. They said, we know that they break up, but you know what? Maybe that they're onto something now that we know what's going to be happening after. So we do get a little bit more of this race. We see a little bit of the next episode-ish where Phil is addressing all the teams, minus Natalia and Arun, and letting them know about the coronavirus and that they're going to have to stop the race. So what do you think about that moment?
Well, flash on the screen, February 28th. I'm like, oh, that's my dating anniversary with Ron. That's when we are official. But no, then I said, okay, I got to count the teams. I've got to see who's there and see if I can figure out who's there from it. And they were pretty clear from what we saw. It did look like, from what it saw, 5 teams coming in, and it did seem like there was 5 teams standing there. And then an announcement that there's a surprise because some teams couldn't come back. So we at least know who the 5 teams are. Who's
the 5 teams? So it was Dusty and Ryan, Akbar and Sherry. Flight attendants.
The flight attendants, Akela and Kayla, were there.
Kim and Penn.
Sorry, who did you say there?
Kim and Penn.
Yep, and Lala and Lulu were there.
Okay, so those are the 5 teams. So then are we assuming then that coming back will be Michael and Mo, and then Arun and Natalia? Is that what we're thinking?
So I would assume that familiar faces. I mean, it could also, there's the long shot that there could be a past Amazing Race team that might be joining them as well. That could be happening. I don't know if any of those teams that didn't come back, if there's like a last minute surprise, maybe one of them at the very last minute got put in, but I don't know why they would do it that way. So I don't know. But if you look at it, then that sort of means there's a couple teams that are not coming back, and that some of them are strong teams. So that's a shame.
Who's left? I would say like Kim and Penn and Ryan and
Dusty
and
the flight
Kayla
attendants.
All will be the top 3.
Yeah, and actually, I could see those 3 banding together. There could be an alliance that might form out of this. I could see it.
Well, in that video with Kim and Penn, they did talk about how much they really liked the flight attendants and that they got along really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, now that they know who else is on the race, like if they didn't think that they were going to be going back and they started making friendships with people, they don't know what's happening in 19 months later. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how the friendships or alliances or bonds are made. And I do want to see more about how it's going to be resolved, because only 7 teams racing, it seems a little bit underwhelming.
Do you think that so we always hear about CBS putting these stipulations on, like, you can't talk about the winner, you can't talk about these things. Do you think that they put any sort of stipulation on them being able to communicate with one another, like team-wise? Or could, during COVID, these teams talk and get to know each other a bit better and, I don't know, become friends?
I really don't know, like, how, if it hasn't aired yet, right? Like, it hasn't finished filming. It's in a pause. I don't know if they can stop people from living their lives. I'm not sure. Sarah, do you might have any idea of, like, what they would and would not be able to do during this break? If you have any ideas. Hilarious. So Sarah says, Taylor and Isaiah killed it. Love them. They're cute. They're definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, they're very likable.
But we don't see them come back, and that's a surprise to me. It's got to be a real reason. Like, why are they not there?
Adrian says, I love it when they said I'm doing Beyonce while I'm being Janet. Yeah, no, they're good. I wanted to see more of them. They are good vibes. They're fun. They definitely took the dance to the next level.
Like we sort of, so I mean, I don't know how much we want to get into it, but we sort of heard that Caro and Ray break up. I mean, that's pretty known news. So that's not a surprise because, you know, unless you have a healthy relationship with your ex, that's going to be tough. But you know, Connie and Sam and the guys, Anthony and Spencer, that's two big losses there. I mean, and Isaiah, Taylor and Isaiah, that's a bit of a loss as well. Like that's an entertainment loss, I felt, at least. So
I'm curious though as to the reasons why. Jelly Donut says, I was about to say, like, you're welcome for recommending Arun and Natalia over Caro and Ray. I know, I'm appreciating that you did recommend it in the end, but if this was a normal race, I'd have been like, So Karen, Ray, Connie, and Sam, Taylor and Isaiah, Anthony and Spencer didn't come back for one reason or another, unfortunately.
Wow. That's 14.
Anthony did not return because of an injury. Connie and Sam were pregnant. I did hear that they were pregnant.
Okay.
Karen Ray moved up, and lost her visa. Interesting. And Taylor and Isaiah lost a family member. Oh my goodness. Okay. All very valid.
Yeah. I hope, because of, again, I think I said this at the beginning, I hope that these teams at least, I mean, I don't know about Caro and Ray because I think that would be kind of hard to do, but I hope that the other teams get at least some sort of an invite back in the future, because it's not their fault that timing didn't work out, because it would have. So, COVID.
So over it. This says, am I crazy? Or will it feel like the producers were regretting not doing a US-based season when things begin appearing back up here in the States? It felt like they were trying to salvage Cycle 33. Yeah, they should have maybe just stuck to the States. You know what I mean?
It's hard to say, though, because a lot of the states were doing things their own way. And so, you know, they'd have to be very sure that each of the states that they go to are safe. And some of them, you know, weren't following the same rules as other states were doing, and it opens it up to what are you going to get in trouble for. So,
but Jelly Donut says they could communicate. They became extremely close.
Oh, okay.
Teens were allowed to talk, so I wouldn't be surprised if alliances were made. And because they can only talk to each other and not be open about their
That's true.
And I bet they became very close. That totally makes sense. Thank you, Sarah and Jelly. Thank you. Exactly. I'm afraid it's going to be season 32 all over again, but I'm confident that they watched it and learned to not help each other too much. Well, I just think that the three strong teams are going to end up sticking together, because the girls already had a bit of a bond with the guy teams in general. And if it did make a relationship between Kim and Penn, it just makes sense for the top teams to stick together. And they already were getting along. So it doesn't surprise me if they end up working together.
I kind of saw, unfortunate for Akbar and Sherry and Lala and Lulu, just because of their positions in the race. And whenever we'd see them, they were a little bit more towards the back on their own and not getting... So I'm sure that they probably talked and everything, but they may be in that light of we're going to race against them again, but I don't know if I want them in my alliance for sure. Who knows?
You kind of want to align with people that are good, right?
Yeah.
So Jelly Donut says they'll never do an all-US season ever again after season 8, which will never allow to happen. Wasn't that the family season, though? It's completely different.
That was the family season. I get what Jelly's saying, though, because that was raked over the coals by a lot of Amazing Race fans. I've watched it again a couple times, and though the locations are not that exciting, there are some characters from that season that I'm like I mean, Linda Weaver is reality TV to watch. I mean, everybody hated her, and like fans of the show hated her, but she was great TV, and Mama Paolo was great too. That Paolo family they were a wreck, but they were great to watch.
I don't remember because this, like, I literally only watched it real time, so I should go back and do a rewatch. Somebody told me that all seasons are somewhere, so I will actually pick it up and maybe go and just refamiliarize with all these great teams and seasons from years past. Okay, so we pretty much got to the end of this episode. Phil, what survey do you have for us to fill out this week?
All right, well, let's talk about the Leg 3 survey. Let's pull that up. All right. So this is in our comment section or in our description section, so feel free to click on the link there. We'd love to hear from everybody. This is a way for us to know what's going on with you all. So question 1 was just, have you visited any of the locations for the race in Leg 3? So have you been to Glasgow, Scotland? Question number 2, do you see this? Oh gosh, I wrote it all wrong. Do you see this season, it's supposed to say, I'll change that, having a dominating alliance? If yes, who do you think will make up this alliance?
Well, we just talked about it, but the strong teams. So seemingly from the teams that are coming back, I do feel as though Dusty and Ryan, Kim and Penn, and Kayla and Raquel will be working together or doing well together on the race.
We've seen a few fights from Team Caro and Ray. At this time, whose side are you on right now? Team Caro, Team Ray, or Team neither?
I'm Team Caro for sure. Yeah, she might be reacting in an emotional way, but I don't think that he was that kind to her. And in general, I feel like she seems to be walking on eggshells around him. And I don't know. He's not giving off the good vibes that he thinks he is. And I'm on her side right now that he's not being that great of a partner from my perspective.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being nowhere close and 10 being totally over it, how done and over it were the kids at the end of the kilt detour?
10. They're over it. They're just like, God was his losers.
They're like, please, just say yes. Which task from Leg 3 do you think was the hardest? The roadblock in the bag with the bagpipes, Detour kilt, taking part in that Scottish performance, or Detour rebuild, remove and rebuild 2 whiskey barrels?
I think the rebuild was the hardest, it seemed. But they all seem pretty easy.
Were you surprised with the elimination of Aaron and Natalia?
No. I wasn't surprised. They were having a lot of trouble for the whole leg with directions. They switched detours to something that wasn't in his strength. So with those 2 points alone, I didn't really have any faith in them being able to overtake any teams.
I don't know if I have amazing race, like forget amnesia to the race or whatever, but the last leg and this leg, both of the endings, I was thrown for. I got conned into who I thought was going to come late to the map, because I thought like the team that was right before them really had a big problem. Like, so I thought Akbar and Sherry might be in trouble here because of the way it was looking. I was like, oh my God, they're really lost. They're lost. Oh no. Yeah.
I was hoping that Akbar and Sherry were out just for our draft. So anyways, though, we'll discuss offline how we're going to configure it. I don't remember if it's even 2 teams that we both lose or whatnot. If that's the case, then maybe we'll just keep it. We'll have to discuss as to if we're going to do a redraft or we're just going to leave it as is and just keep our points coming. We'll
are you upset with the elimination of Aaron and Natalia?
I am upset with the elimination because I think that if they'd stuck with the barrels, they would have got it eventually in a more timely fashion than they did the kilt. And I like them. I would like to see them do more. So I was disappointed. Yes.
Now, just of the teams that remain before coming back, this is now as of after we've lost that one team, the teams that remain, which current remaining Amazing Race 33 team do you think is making the most crucial mistakes?
them. We don't switch the Detour. Unless it's actually impossible. You know what I mean? But like, where you've been out with the hay all day looking for a needle in a haystack type thing, maybe then switch to something that's a little bit more, finish completable. But yeah, I think that they're making the most mistakes right now.
Okay.
Because like, of course, Sherry, they didn't do well, but like they chose the task that they were better at, right?
Yeah, they definitely chose the right task that way. Caro and Ray, I think they're making some mistakes in the sense that they're letting personal feelings get too much involved. They've been doing well placement wise. They're in the middle. But I think long term, those kinds of things might have an effect on their team. Which Amazing Race 33 team would you most like to see return to continue the race?
I mean, I'd love to see Michael and Mo. They were like somebody I thought were going to do well this season. They would have learned a lot about like what to do and what not to do if they had more opportunity on the race. So I think that it'll be fun seeing them having another opportunity if they do get to come back and continue on with the race. I am curious to see how they would do. So I'm happy to see them come back.
I think Raquel and Kayla are the ones that I'm most happy to see return. Just
like that. Yeah, fine.
Well, no, they were an option. You could have picked Michael and Mo as well. But I'm excited to see them just because I'm enjoying watching them. I think that they are quite funny.
I agree with you. I like
they bring that energy. Out of all of the teams, including the surprise returns, if they come back, who would you least like to see return?
I like all the teams. I just want this season to be playing as is, right? So
yeah,
least like to see nobody. I want to see them all come back.
Yeah, I myself, I didn't really have a team that I don't want to see come back. I mean, I do want to see all the teams that are doing really well because you want it to be competitive. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Akbar and Sherry, because they did well this leg, they might have been my choice just because they seem to not be feeling it. But they come back. We do see that they come back, so they were feeling it. They were enjoying it. So I'm happy that they come back as well. So who knows? But everybody, fill out the survey. You let us know your answers to these questions, and next week we will let you know the results.
Yay! Thank you, Phil, for hooking us up with that. Dolores says, "Hi, Dolores. This should have been a non-elimination, like considering they knew that they would shut down. That's true. That would have been interesting for it to be non-elimination. Just keep that person in the race, and then deal. But then only one person has been eliminated so far, and it's shut down. So I don't know. I think they just wanted it to play out, and then maybe they thought it was only going to be 2 weeks or something, and then they just picked back up. So." They couldn't really estimate how long we were going to be in lockdown. And so that's probably why they didn't have a non-elimination leg.
Yeah, I mean, we got to remember what we were all going through March, end of February, early March. I mean,
I was loving lockdown at that time. Right? I was like, yes, I'll take
I didn't start till like the 17th, March 17th. Like I was still working till then. Like there were places that were closing. There was places that were still open in like early April. Like it was, some people said, oh, it's only going to be 2-3 weeks. So, I can imagine they were like, what do we do? This is a new thing. This is different.
100% different. Jelly Donut is most excited to see Ryan and Dusty in those hot shorts. OMG. Okay, so Sarah's saying that they don't think that they knew. They think that it was a quick decision overnight next morning. Yeah, that makes sense too. You're just kind of reacting, being like, we have to do this now. My last day in the office was March 12th. I was in Costa Rica on March 12th, and then March 13th, the world went dark. I went back home and never left the house again. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here today to talk about this episode. It is really fun. I'm getting better at taking notes. The first episode was very hard, but this episode was a lot easier to figure out what's going on. It's also like we know who the players are now, so like we're not getting to know names and figuring out like the dynamics of people. So it's definitely a lot easier and more fun to take notes. How are you feeling though, even though it's not going the way that we would have wanted to? Like, how are you feeling about this race just in general before we say goodbye?
I'm happy that we got that start of Amazing Race regular season. It's now different. It's going to probably feel like a bit of a different race, I'm thinking, the first couple episodes going forward. I'm enjoying it. I do think that the cast is great. Well, I like this cast. And there's not really a lot of people that I'm not cheering for it. You know, there's people that annoy me, but I'll get over it. And yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. Very exciting to see how this all works in COVID. I'd love to see how COVID is going in Europe a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I definitely, I'm interested. I'm here for it. I'm definitely enjoying the season, just like you. I'm sad that we just can't have a normal season, but I'm intrigued by how they're going to handle the pandemic and the world and Europe. So, looking forward to next week to talk to you about it. So, do you have anything going on that you want to share with the viewers?
Well, I wanted first to ask you, what did you think about the uproar that for some reason Amazing Race was on at 7 this week in Canada? I noticed online that a lot of Americans were getting upset about it. They were like, why do they know what happened before we do?
Oh.
Because it's happened before.
It came on earlier because they were trying to promote a couple of new TV series. One was a Canadian television series starring two of my friends, not gonna lie. And so I think that was why they wanted to have that in the 8 o'clock time slot. I think. I'm not really sure though, like why we were 2 hours ahead though. That was the only thing that I could think of, is the network that was on was premiering a new sitcom at 8 p.m. So maybe they wanted, like, and it worked for me because I was watching it at 7 and I stayed on that channel and I watched the next show. So maybe that's what they're trying to get people to recognize, that the episode, the new series, and then maybe come back and watch it next week. So that's the only thing I can think of. I didn't know that there was an uproar though. Sorry, guys.
No, I noticed a lot, like, because it has in the past, it's happened sometimes that way. But I noticed more people making comments about how they thought that they shouldn't have been that way. I'm like, I don't know. It's TV. The world. That's the way the world works. Get over it. I have an announcement tomorrow night. I need a couple players. So if you want, follow Good Time Games with Adam and Phil on Facebook. We're having a fun little wild card night. What that means is it's for open games for anybody that's an individual player. These are fun, silly games. It's not like video games or anything intense. They're just fun games, party games, like having a games night on Zoom, and you get to meet some new people and play, and it was great. And yes, I am very excited about Scream 5 coming out, and I definitely made myself look good in the Scream characters. As good as this can go.
I definitely laughed. Go check out Phil's Instagram. His links are in the description box below. If you want to have a little chuckle with Phil taking on these Scream characters. Amazing. So you guys know the drill. I'll just remind you guys to please subscribe. Just, keep building this community of people that love watching reality TV. Let me know if there's any shows that you want me to cover that are outside of reality TV. I just watched Wheel of Time. I don't know if it's a coverable show. It's a little bit challenging because there's a lot going on. And I also watched Euphoria, which I think was pretty amazing. So let me know if you're interested in any scripted TV shows as well that you would like to maybe talk about. I definitely love talking about everything entertainment. So if you have a thought there, please let me know. And for those of you that joined me watching the Challenge All-Stars on Twitch, I will be going live as usual at 9:30 p.m. tonight Eastern. So in a couple hours, or like an hour and 40 minutes. I'll be going live to watch the finale of that season. So Reality Realness on twitch.tv. That's everything, I believe.
Nice.
Wait, is 6:30 for Twitch night? If you are on the West Coast, yes, that would be a 6:30 thing. Chantele, you should cover The Equalizer. It's so good. Oh, I'd have to catch up on that. I could maybe get behind that. General Hospital. Oh my goodness. Whoa.
Dolores, I used to be a huge GH. I grew up on GH all the long time ago. Luke and Laura and Sunny and Carly, all that fun stuff. And Brenda.
Yes, please like the video. I mean, I watched Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless. I never watched General Hospital, but I remember Luke and Laura, their saga or something. But I don't know if I can get up to date with like 60 years of like soap opera. But anyway, keep the suggestions coming, everybody. And also, if you could just do us that favor, fill out that survey so we have, a little bit of an idea of what you guys are thinking about this season and this episode this week. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you later on and next week. Bye. Thank you, everybody.